Because you are in the past, but you're the medium Nick,
Yeah.
because there was a young Nick and now there is an older Nick, but you're the medium Nick, and we see you mostly, although we see you somewhat at home, like
Right.
before, but mostly it's in Vietnam.
Right.
The story is about how Jack and Nick sort of meet up in Vietnam after Nick has been drafted, which he really did not want to be drafted. And what was that like? I mean, that scene, in the bar where you're waiting for the lottery to be announced. I mean, that's something like I had forgotten. Do you know that's how it was done?
Yeah.
That young men had to basically sit and watch television to know whether they were going to be called up.
There was nothing in my lifetime or in my experience that I could compare it to.
Did you talk to anybody who
So,
had been drafted that way? Who
Yeah, I mean, my father was too young. My uncle was sort of the age, but he didn't get drafted. And so, it was one of these things that as an actor, I didn't really have anything to relate it to, but because it was so high stakes. And one of the things that Ken Olin, the director of that episode, kept saying to Milo and I, he was like, don't play the relationship between the brothers. We're going to know you guys are brothers. That speaks for itself. We know the history. You guys have chemistry. We see the character dynamic. We see it. Play the draft, because this is what is going on, and this is what was going on. This is the all-consuming thing that especially young men were going through at this particular time. There was something actually that I found that helped a little bit. It was this website that you put your birth date into, and it would tell you if you were drafted. Mm-hmm. And I found out that I would have been drafted, and Milo would have been drafted. And what really turned it around was when I realized that my younger brother, who's 19, would have been drafted as well. And that, that sort of 2-second moment where my stomach sank, and I realized it wouldn't be me that's going to war; it would be my brother. Mm-hmm. That's really where it helped me realize that what this was and the effect that it had on these guys' lives at such a young age. And Nikki's, of course, everybody, you either get drafted or you don't, and that's not something. Jack can't do anything to help Nikki with that. He tries, but it's something that Nikki takes on and realizes that he has to take on his own. And that also plays into their dynamic as older brother, younger brother, as protector, as protectee, as this sort of complex that Nikki has in his head that he's not really his own man. And I think that hugely informs his decision to actually go to Vietnam, because he knows that this is something that he has to do on his own.